How appropriate. Africa is calling us, right?
Yeah.
So let's get back into the swing of things. Let me see. Desiree, this is a question for you. You actually lost someone to suicide. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
It was my first client that I lost. First and only, because I haven't lost anyone after that. Because, after that happens to you, you never ever want to go through that. Like I said earlier, you kind of build a relationship with someone if you're counseling. This was someone who was HIV positive, who had contracted it from her partner. And from talking with them over and over in counseling, you kind of get a very close relationship. Remember that one is sharing with you their inner thoughts, their inner experiences. And so you get that connection. And so the loss is like it's your loss, it's your own family. I felt like it was my own daughter that I had lost. And she had done a great job of making me feel that all was okay. Because we were on the seawall sitting, I would take her out there, we would talk, we would breathe, the water coming in, washing, that kind of thing. And I thought it was so good. And then she said it was okay. She understood her reasons for living were more than her reason for wanting to commit suicide. And then she made me feel that she believed in that she wanted to live for these children. She had 2 children at the time, 2 small children. And I really believe, I didn't think that, okay, she's ready now and that I would let her go. But when she left me that day, she made me feel that things were getting better. I felt that. I don't know if I missed anything along the line, but I had become so close to her that I felt that things were getting better. And so when she went home and drank those tablets, I felt so bad knowing that while she was telling me that everything was okay, she already had those tablets in her bag to go home and commit suicide. And that really shook me up. It took me a while to get over it, trying to look back at what did I do wrong? What did I miss? It took really a while. I myself had to get counseling for that because I really felt a deep loss when she committed suicide.
In each of your capacity as counselors dealing with the patients and so on, what is the danger of you as a counselor taking this on personally and blaming yourself? How do you deal with that?
Can I go?
Yes, definitely.
One of the things that they train you to do is to separate those emotions. And also, there is something called vicarious trauma. That if you're dealing with domestic violence victims, you can experience the trauma vicariously. Also, there's countertransferences that you have to be extremely careful that you are incorporating those skills and the principles of those trainings into your counseling sessions.
Norco? I think we've lost Norco for a second. We've lost Norco for a second. All right, let me go back to the chat room. GHSP, government involvement is needed with bringing awareness to this issue. Dr. Rodney?
And that might be very well so. But then my follow-up question would be, how can we get government involved? What I'm hearing this afternoon tends to motivate me now more than ever. And let me say why. Being an outsider, and I hope no one takes this personally, but being away for so long from Guyana and still have that emotional attachment, it made me felt on several occasions as if I alone was in this situation. My home country, I'm here and I can do nothing, and I'm doing everything here to make a difference, which is working. But I think you guys need to know this. Based on your disclosure, I feel encouraged because I know that there are folks of like mind, folks of similar passions, And this somewhat encourages me. What I would like to see from what I heard this evening coming from these individuals is the fact that we all embrace this cause. And by that I mean, we're not there to lobby your government. But I know lobbying works from where I am. And we tackle it unitedly. If it's not happening, I think all the NGOs need to come together with a concerted front and say to the government, this is what we're demanding because you can provide us with what we need to make this thing happen. So yes, there can be government involvement, but it will take, I would often say in my motivational speaking, I would say, if there's not a fire, you will not get the attention of the fire brigade. You must have a fire in order for the fire brigade to come to your rescue. So I'm saying to those of you, including the person that asked the question, you must have a concerted front. It's not one individual issue, it's a Guyanese issue, and the Guyanese government is there to serve its people, hold them accountable.
Second question in the chat room, not next question. Are there measuring assessment tools currently in use to identify risk factors to suicide? Charmin?
I am unaware of any, but there are measures, there are groups that are creating some tools, especially for the depression and and suicide would be included. I just wanted to, can I piggyback on that question with governmental involvement? It's important for government to be involved in a social problem that has become a pandemic. There needs to be a paradigm shift. In order for that paradigm shift to occur, there have to be changes in policy. And after the changes are made in the policies, mind you, the mental health, there's no mental health policy in Guyana. It's a clause in the medical policy, and it dates back to 1930. So definitely we need government involvement, because with a country that has that ranked fifth in the WHO suicide rankings, there has to be a mental health problem within the populace. Now, for changes to occur and effective changes, the government has to be involved. NGOs, the idea that Dr. Rodney just raised is something that we're actually working on, and we started it on Facebook and developed this Guyanese Human Services Professional Group, trying to bring together NGOs, because we believe that there is power in numbers. And if we can get all the NGOs to come together to approach the government, I think it's in 2006, Ames and Pahu made a recommendation to the government to create a mental health policy. That recommendation is still on the table. So, in order to manage and tackle this problem, government has to be involved.
Desiree?
And government is involved. The Honorable President Granger has recognized that it's an issue in Guyana, has publicly said that really the government knows they have to play a role, bringing together civil society, bringing together all the ministries, the people who work in the hinterland area, and there have been consultations done by the government, spearheaded by the government. and plans to work with civil society for us to together try to solve this issue or at least to make it less an issue for us and not be a pandemic. So they know that they need to be involved. They have recognized that. They have said that they are willing to, and they have started to meet with groups, including people who sell pesticides, to see how we can come up with a plan to help solve this situation.
In the chat room, GHSP asked, well said, Dr. Rodney, I do believe lobbying will work in Guyana. After all, it's the government by the people for the people. But there's a question before that. Are there any plans in place for advocating for policy changes when it comes to suicide awareness and prevention? Well, that particular question, I wish the Minister of Health in the Guyana government was on the show this afternoon, because I think it is important that when we are having these conversations, members of the government or somebody from within the government can be here to represent the government and to educate the people or enlighten the people as to what what is taking place. Because here we are in a vacuum, assuming that nothing is being done or suggesting that certain things should be done, and maybe it is being done. But this is something that, I have to take into consideration, and we all should, and try to get one of these ministers to come and sit down with us on a Sunday afternoon and share some information. Norca, I want to get you in on this conversation. You fell out just now. What are those who have been personally affected saying about this particular topic?
Those who've been affected, actually, some of the folks are relieved that people are actually speaking. They're relieved that it's being addressed nationally, because truthfully, here's the dilemma. Unless the government becomes like the driver or sets some example of what needs to be done, nobody really is going to do much. They're going to be fragmented work. It's going to be done fragmentally. So the government has to be the driver, has to spearhead. That is why I said I don't know how this suicide issue is going to be addressed overall until the Ministry of Health gives us its plan in May. We can all collaborate and do what we can until that time, but until we have a structure of how things are going to progress or where the resources are going to be given, I don't know.
While you have the camera, a question for you. I don't want to put you on the spot here. There has been it's been in the news that the U.S. Embassy is willing to contribute financially or with a resource to assisting with this issue.
Yes.
Which is a good thing. What is your take on that? Answer that.
I think it will be beneficial in that folks will be better trained. The issue of education, the issue of privacy and confidentiality, respect, the issue of they will bring a different light in that, making people be aware that mental illness doesn't have to be so much of a stigma. It will open more of a conversation. That is my hope.
And Desiree?
I think the U.S., we've been funded by the U.S. for years. Our organization itself has been funded for over 15 years. They have always been supported with any issue that's happening. They were involved with trafficking persons and ensuring that money is available to do work, especially in the interior region. So I thought it was a very, very good thing for them to come forward to say they're willing to help. Because at least we know there's going to be some funding there. And I think one of our speakers, I don't know if it was Walker, said earlier that we need money in order to address this issue. We would need funding, and that is something that the Americans usually provide again, funding to work on social issues. And so I'm happy that that is happening.
Can I ask the question?
Of course.
okay, everyone addresses the issue of money, and I've managed programs with money. How is it going to be accountable? I'm sorry.
I see everybody smiling.
If I can answer, funded by USA for 15 years, and they drive a hard bargain, and they have,
ma'am, it's not you. I understand what you're saying.
When they get money, they have to
Yes.
come in to ensure it's spent the way it's supposed to be spent, the way it's approved to be spent. And so once people start to do the shift cycling off money in areas where it wasn't approved for, they take it away right away. They start that funding.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. I just want to know accountability. Because I personally, my training, and I'm quite charming in this running program and doctor, we have to figure out where every penny goes. We have to know, we have to hand in these things. And I have yearly reports that I have to do. I'm just asking, will there be a body to, even for the Guyana government, will there be a body to justify where the funds are being spent and how it's being spent? And not to your cousin.
And if it's being spent in the correct way, you know, the people who are,
that's what I'm asking.
From, yes, especially money coming for funding in Guyana, we drive a really hard bargain where monitoring and evaluation is concerned. And that's a very important component of any funding of projects that happens in our country.
Here's an interesting question in the chat room. Are there any plans in place to target the younger generation, 5 to 15 years old, with issues related to suicide, especially bullying?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of.
If I may talk about the HFME, the Health and Family Life Education Program, which is being executed in schools. And right now with UNICEF and members of civil society, we're looking to see how best, because that manual deals with bullying and self-esteem and that kind of thing. So we're trying to see how they could incorporate suicide into that manual and to address it while they're doing that health and family life education in schools. And that is done from primary level.
Are all the schools, I'm sorry, I don't know, I'm just asking, are all the, because when I checked I couldn't find it, are all the schools going to have this manual or just selective schools?
No, they have started a pilot program with some schools, and then the aim is to get it into all the schools. It's not in all of the schools, especially the ones in the interior region, but I know when I speak for Region 4, that is here in Region 3, and Region 5, and Region 6, because we as members of civil society, we also execute that program. So I know there are some challenges with the interior regions, like Region 1 and 8, that we still need to work to reaching, but it's widely in school.